guess when I was small, I always loved to understand how things work. So that sort of got me curious with technology, and it's my hobby to understand more about what we can do with tech. So it ended up with me going to pursue a study in technology as an engineer. I couldn't decide whether it's mechanical or electrical at that time. But truth be told, that time was during the early 90s, late 80s, where PCs were just coming about. And that time was we had in Malaysia, we had a lot of compatible computers. I don't use the word non-originals, but so that got me involved in programming. So I decided to go to do electrical and computer science. So that started the ball rolling. And while studying, I found my interest actually, even though it was computing as a base program that I learned in college, university. But one thing that stood out was it got me interested in IC design. So, but during that time in Malaysia, late 80s, early 90s, IC design wasn't a big thing yet, right? So anyway, studied that, came back, started working in a semicon company as close as I could to what I learned. Then it progressed on. So working in E&E, and then did a lot of computer programming work as an engineer in Motorola. And then, strangely enough, I got involved in IT, and there was an opportunity to join the .com revolution at that time, the bubble. This was during the late 90s, right? So the late 90s, I left to join a local startup in Malaysia. Didn't get far, but it opened my eyes to the IT industry. Then later I went back to work for the multinational, Motorola again, this time in the software space. We did a lot of applications for telco, and this is how I got into the telco environment, which was very interesting. Telco is not like your basic telco programming is not like your basic IT programming. Things that you code in telco has to be robust, and it has to be fault tolerant in terms of coding as well. Whereas nowadays you have all the tools available to make it fault tolerant, but in those old days you have to code it in. So that was an eye-opening experience. Then later on, tech itself just evolved. So from telco, I moved into to IBM. IBM also was looking into telco space. Then later I moved into MIMOS because it's more of a national service, and also to get involved to understand more about research and tech. So that was more of a big circle for me. So if you ask me, getting involved in tech was my early days when I just loved to tinker with things. The curiosity, it's still there. It's now different, but that's how I got involved in tech. Okay, technology, if for those of us who have seen technology, how it evolves, technology to me is like flavor of the year or 2 years, right? There's always a new flavor coming up, right? So you cannot hide the fact that the current technology hype now is on AI, at least generative AI. Before this, the previous hype was on distributed ledger, or people call blockchain, right? Before that was on data analytics, could be a precursor of the current AI when you talk about deep reinforced learning, data mining, data analytics, and so forth. So it comes in cycles and it evolves. So where would it be 5 years from now or next 5 years? I guess AI is in the driving seat. People will be talking more about it. But there is a danger because technology is very random, right? It's very chaotic. It is something that we, in a big picture, people can look into technology. We can't really predict what's next. But when it comes, there'll be chaos and there'll be some who ride the wave, right, so to speak. So what will come next 5 years? It would be or could be a derivative of AI. It could be a derivative of previous technology that comes about that we can and we should learn how to take advantage of it within the window that it's been made available. So have to be opportunistic next 4 to 5 years. All right. So if you ask me, learn about AI, learn about analytics. It will not go away. And a lot of people are always afraid of technology because it might take away their current livelihoods. But usually, it's a tool. Technology is a tool. However it may be, it is always a tool. So if you learn how to use the tool, right, maximize the use of the tool, then you would still have some sense of moving to the next level of jobs and occupation and opportunities as well. I get up pretty early. So usually when I get to office, it's more about catching up on news. So technology news, typically I would like to read more on the technology news itself rather than opinions, because a lot of people tend to take things easy and watch YouTube, right? There are a lot of opinionated people outside. They form their own views on technology. So it is not a very unbiased report. So typically I like to learn more about the tech, listen to latest development, latest releases. Strangely enough, sometimes you read the business news because there are a lot of announcements done there, new business announcements and so forth. So you read that, then you pique your curiosity, you try to read a bit more about certain subjects. So typically that's how I start the day itself. I do also read up on what has happened in terms of, because my role in Digital Penang is more of a state entity. So I do try to catch up on the latest political news, news within the federal government, especially news related to digital, and how it will impact the state of Penang and how we can, in this case, take advantage of it and work with it within Penang to prepare for it at the very least. So those are things I typically get out within the first hour and a half for the day. And then after that, mainly it'll be meetings with the team, meetings with external stakeholders and people who want to work with us in Penang here. And then, so typically after lunch, by more meetings, but before I close the day off, I like to have certain, if I can't do it at work, if I have an outside meeting and finish off at home, I like to prepare for the next day by going through all the things I need to sign off, and need to approve, need to reply emails and such. I close it off during the day at night. So that cycle repeats. Right? But in between, you have meetings here and there, events here and there that you need to attend to. There are lots of opportunities. So Digital Penang itself, we are not just purely a tech-based entity. We do a lot of technology promotion or digital promotion to do a few things. So one is we try to get the community within Penang or even beyond Penang to be digitized. We try to have programs to reach out, teach people how to do e-commerce, talk about mobile phone security, and so forth. The other thing that we do a lot of is we run events. Through these events, interns will participate in preparing for it. And these events are things to do with startups. So how do you want to do your own startup? If you have an idea, what are the necessary steps you go through? So these are things that we hold quite regularly for the companies or youths here in Penang to get them involved. So community programs, startups, which is very interesting. It teaches you how to pitch to VCs, who are the VCs in the Malaysian context. We also have a technology team that we do rapid application development. So apps that we build are typically to support the government and also some to support the community. So we have a small team that look into apps. So in a nutshell, there are opportunities to work in Digital Penang. It just depends on the background. And also, like I mentioned earlier, not necessarily IT. You can always look us up in the website and look at the opportunities available. The departments are there anyway. It will give you an idea what we do. I'm hoping that someone will read it and maybe just apply.